Welcome back to the Oneeye606 YouTube channel. I just want to let you guys know a little bit about who I am and why I'm starting this channel, and we'll go from there. My name's Everett. I'm a disabled veteran. Was in the Marine Corps, done 2 tours. I went to Iraq in 2007 and done route clearance. Was operator of a vehicle called the Husky mainly, where I got blown up 3 times, and then I also done a lot of gunning, and I got blown up 3 times gunning, twice in a Cougar and once in an RG-31. Went through some TBI workup when I got back, and couldn't live with myself that my friends were still going, and they were going and going and going, and so I done what it took to get back in the fight, and I ended up going back to Afghanistan in late 2008, and lost a lot of good friends there. Lost 7 people from our company, 3 engineers. The rest were hard charging grunts. But my best friend, well, he was best friend, real good friend still, wish we were closer than we were. My friend Jake, he ended up losing his legs, and he's he's still out there with a great sense of humor, and being the same old guy he was with legs, just now he doesn't have them. And that led to me ultimately getting sent back to the United States and stuff after that happened. And then I finished my time out in the Marine Corps waiting on medical retirement, and was medically retired in 2011. But I want to talk about what got me into diesel trucks, and then I want to talk about what got me into cars and things of that nature, and just give you a little bit of life history. Really, from a very young age, I was always focused on hands-on skills. I like to work on cars and help my dad on anything I could, and I would do a lot of the vehicle maintenance. And was doing motor swaps and everything else at a young age. I mean, I was working on my first go-kart at 6. Me and my dad cut all the metal together, built it up, tacked it together, and then he took it to where he worked at, and they those guys welded for a living out there. So they welded it all together. We put it together, put the motor on it, put everything on it. And I remember I was 6 or 7 when we finished it, and it was pissing the rain outside. I mean, it was this damn thunderstorm, lightning everywhere. And here I was, a giddy little kid, and I went out there and I fired that thing up, and I rode and rode and rode and rode in that rain. Didn't have a care in the world. Next day I was sicker than a dog, but the memories is what made it worth it. The memories of riding that go-kart and just the time I had with it was amazing, and it led me into cars. And I'm always been interested in the cars that maybe some people ain't really crazy about. I like Ranger pickups with V8s, and Honda Civics, hatchbacks, the EFs, the old Honda hatches, and I like cars like that. I like Mustangs. Of course, I've had a ton of Mustangs in my life, and I like a little bit of everything. But what got me into diesel trucks is my squad leader, whenever we were going to Afghanistan, when I got dropped to the platoon, me and him immediately kind of hit it off. We both rode motorcycles, and and just were kind of old crazy country boys, a little bit. We rode motorcycles, hung out, and the more we hung out, the more we learned about each other, and the more we become really close friends. Well, when we were in Afghanistan, I remember, I had a Mustang, and my dad had started using some of my money, because he was going to surprise me with these add-ons to the car, and he'd get the parts, and then he'd tell me about it. Well, I started talking to Sergeant Johnson, Trevor, about it, and then he started a list for his diesel, and we had all these big plans of all the stuff he was going to do to his diesel when we got back, and all that stuff. And it made me want a diesel really bad. But one of the first times I really was crazy about a diesel, and it's not even like a good story to be crazy about a diesel for, because the diesel was actually broke down. He had a Dodge 2500. They called it what did it, Sugar, I believe, is what its nickname was. It was white, and he went to Home Depot. Him and his wife at the time, you know, they were fixing up a house, and we'd put up a fence and stuff like that, and I helped him do all that stuff. And then he went and bought this really nice outdoor grill setup, had a fridge in it. I mean, I think it even had a kitchen, like a sink and stuff. It was awesome, but it weighed a ton. And on with that, he had concrete and everything else in the back. He had a bunch of crap in the back of this truck, and it broke down on him. He couldn't get it started. And here he is sitting in the middle of a road. And, you know, he starts calling people, and I guess nobody was willing to help him, or nobody was willing to answer the phone. And he called me, and I had my little Mustang GT at the time, a little '02 Mustang GT. So I went out there, and I hooked my car up to him. I drug his truck out of the road, and then we drug it back and forth behind that Home Depot in Jacksonville, North Carolina for 20 minutes trying to get the damn thing started. And then you know, we're both livid at this point because we can't figure out what's wrong with it. And then we decided, you know, because we're rushing, you know, just going at it balls to the walls instead of slowing down and really thinking. And we decided to check the ground, and sure enough, it was a ground strap. We put it on, and he laid the coal out of that thing from Home Depot all the way to his house. I mean, never once let off that gas. And I loved it. You know, I thought it was really awesome, and just really opened my eyes to the diesels, because the only diesel I'd ever really had was an old Econoline van. And of course, it was non-turbo, and it was a turd, but it, you know, it'd pull a house down. But we used it for family vacations, you know, and it was long gone before I was old enough to drive. But that's, you know, that really was something that got me into diesels. And then, you know, having Mustangs and, you know, manual cars, I've always loved stick shift cars. That's something I really enjoy to drive. And then another thing that I've always loved, and for once in my life I don't have currently, and it's driving me crazy, is motorcycles. I mean, I'm a huge motorcycle. I love riding motorcycles. I remember when Dad, he bought an '84 Nighthawk. We still got the bike. I've got to put it back together now. He bought the bike off Chris Collins was his name. It was a lady that my dad used to know back in Missouri. It was her son. It was his bike. She was involved in a major motorcycle accident and ended up losing her leg. And he didn't want to ride anymore after that. And we bought the bike from him. I think we paid $1,200 for it, and it had virtually no miles on it. I mean, I don't even think it had 10,000 miles on it. I'm not 100% sure. It was really low in miles. And that was one of the first bikes I rode. I remember the first time I got on it, I was, you know, I was a little cocky-ass kid, and I jumped the throttle and was in a patch of gravel and about went down. But it learned me quick to be responsible and pay attention to my surroundings and what was going on. And it helped me, you know, driving. And honestly, it helped me overseas, because my job was I hunted IEDs, and your eyes always had to be going. And if they weren't, you know, bad stuff happens. That's just how it is. But you know, I'm gonna try to post more videos. You know, if you watch this, please like and subscribe. You know, comment, tell me something you'd like to see from me. Ask me questions or anything else. I'll answer them on video, whatnot. You know, I'm just an old country boy from Kentucky, you know, living the disabled veteran life. I mean, I would, you know, it don't bother me to have to live this life, but in a way it does, because I'd rather be out there, you know, still hustling. And, you know, if I would have had my choice a little bit more than what I did, I would have stayed in the Marine Corps. I loved it, but at the time it just wasn't right. My mom was dying of cancer, and she'd been battling it for years and had been keeping it a secret from everybody. And you know, it was time to come home. And if it wasn't for me coming home, I'd have never met my beautiful wife and had the 2 children that I have now. I'm going to try to start, I've got a little Honda hatchback actually right now that I need to put fenders on, and I need to fix the rear bumper on and put the interior back in and stuff like that. I done a dash switch on it. I'm going to do the disc brake conversion. I've already got the donor car for it. Just little stuff, you know. I'm going to try to, you know, record that as much as I can. Of course, right now, all I have is a cell phone, so it may not be worth a crap video. But down the road, you know, if more of you like, subscribe, and you're enjoying the content, I'll invest into a good camera, and I'll make sure you get top of the line videos. I'll maybe even try to edit instead of having just raw video. Even though I'm a raw video kind of guy, I'm a no nonsense kind of guy. I like it to be what you see is what you get. I don't like it to be doctored or edited or anything like that. So I know I've talked and talked and talked and just give you a little backstory on me, but I grew up going to swap meets, going to drag races, going to car shows, and it sunk with me. It stuck with me. And another thing, another passion of mine is firearms. I love firearms, but in the world today, you can't really talk too much about it because there's so many soft people that will just throw a outright fit, because someone owns a gun. And I don't see that right. But for that, I'll just go ahead and cut it off for today. I think I've answered, a little bit about who I am and where I come from and things of that nature. And, I just want to thank the people, who I serve with, who perished for me, and all the others who perished before me. And, I want to thank my family for having a long history in the military and all the other families that do the same thing. And, as a Marine, the brothers you serve with are your family, and a lot of people don't understand that, but that it truly is, Some of them are more family than your own family. But on that note, I just want to thank you for your time, and just like, subscribe, and, give me some input on what you want to see next, and we'll go from there. All right, have a good day.